turn your time lapses from this into this.
So the big reason why you shouldn't use the automatic time-lapse features in your camera is, well, as you've seen, it kind of comes out a little bit meh. It's okay, it does the job, but it's not a wow factor. And for me, everyone does normal time lapses. If you're going to do one, do it properly, right? So switching out the auto features and using a trigger, which, you know, I'll link a cheap one in the description. You'll see the difference. You get motion blur, you have control over the exposure, and let's go through the way I do it, because then you'll see just how much control you have over the look and feel of that time lapse. What we're going to do now is we're going to switch over into manual mode. We'll choose our exposure. I want there to be a bit more motion blur, so I'm going to go 1/4 of a second up to f22. 1/4 of a second is going to be too long. Ideally I'd want that, but get a 1/13 of a second perhaps. And then what we do is we use a remote shutter to auto take the shots. Now I'm going to use my DJI Ronin because it's a stand and a remote shutter and everything all in one. So let's embark on this. Okay, so I'm now just going to create time lapse. I only want one waypoint, which is that one in the middle, every 3 seconds for 9 minutes. Go. Now we need to get back to the studio, get these pictures and videos on the old computer, and see what we can do with them.
Okay, first let's talk about what we do in Lightroom to make things look superb and crispy, and the fastest way to do that. Let's bring all of our pictures into the Lightroom folder, give it a few minutes. Now, the one thing that you are going to need to do is perfect those images. The great thing is that when it's not just a video, you've got a lot more scope to edit things and make them a bit more crisp, but also you don't have to have the same edit all the way through if lighting changes. Now in this particular situation, I've got enough, I've got roughly the same lighting, and actually I want to see the changes of lighting throughout. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to edit one picture, and then I'm going to spread that edit and copy it across to all of my other pictures. And in Lightroom, not the CC version, the normal Lightroom version, it's a little bit weird, and it took me quite a while to find where to do that. So let's do the edit first. So let's go. Okay, this one will be close enough. We've got a blue, we've got some red, we've got 2 of the lights of the traffic lights, and we've got some greens. So we've got a bit to play with. Now the first thing is I'm actually going to come over to profile, change it to vivid. I'm going to hit auto. Now, so that does a chunk of the work for me, but actually I want to kind of give this a little bit more like mood. The sky looks a bit moody, so I'm going to bring that down a little bit, and everything's kind of just becoming a little bit more crisp. I'm going to bring the blacks down a little bit more. I think I'll bring the shadows down a touch versus auto. Yeah, that looks good to me. What I'm then going to do is I'm just going to push up the texture a little. So I'll go 20, Again with the clarity, I'm going to go 20 on that. Perhaps a little too much. Let's come to 15. It might not make that much of a difference, really. You can use some dehaze. That will also kind of bring some more of the texture into the sky, which kind of makes me want to bring those shadows back up a little bit. Yeah, let's go with that. Sit back, have a look. Yeah, I like that. So the way to copy your settings is the 3 dots along the right hand side. Click the 3 dots. So if we do copy settings, come to the grid, Control A, Control V. 182 photos will be affected. Click OK. Now when you're importing the media, it's really, really important to ensure that you only select the first image and you click image sequence, and then click open. And what that's going to do is it's actually going to bring it into the file as a sequence itself, rather than loads of different images, and you have to put them all in. Then you can drag and drop that onto the timeline. What I'm going to do to give it a bit more pop, rather than just taking just a standard video, I'm going to use a bit of movement. So if we click on our first part of the image, I'm going to create a keyframe by clicking on the first little, the little time stopwatch thingy. I wonder what that's actually called. What do I call it? Doesn't really matter, I guess. But I'm going to just make it a bit bigger, or zoom in, should I say, because this is kind of like much higher resolution than just a 1080p video. So make sure that you've got your keyframe at the start and your keyframe at the end to show the movement of all of it. And the last thing to add on is go to Effects, search Warp, choose Warp Stabilizer and drag that onto your clip. That will smooth everything out so that any wind that may have blown the camera stand while you was doing it is sorted out. Now I want to go back to editing, wait for all of the frames to have been analysed, and then you can export the video.